Okay guys, moving on to the next one. We see that in this problem it says if you have 5 moles of our methane, how many grams of CO2 will be produced? Now on this one it's just a little bit different than on the mole to mole, because in this one we can see that we're converting it to grams of CO2. Now anytime it's going to say grams, you're going to need the molar mass, and in this case I want the grams of CO2, so I need to know the molar mass of CO2. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Remember, what we always start with is we're going to start with our 5 moles of our methane, which methane is CH4. Okay, we're always going to start with that. Now what we're going to set up is, remember, we always use our mole ratio, so we're dealing with methane and we're dealing with carbon dioxide, which is right here. Good enough thing for us is that it's a 1-to-1 mole ratio. So 1 mole of our methane of CH4 equals, and CO2 is a 1 as well, 1 mole of CO2. Now I know that I need the molar mass of CO2, which on this one all you're doing is you're adding up 1 carbon, which is 12.01, plus 2 oxygens, which 16 times 2 is 32. So we add those things up and we're going to get that 1 mole, because molar mass always equals 1 mole, 1 mole of CO2 equals 44.01 grams of CO2. Now the reason why I wrote that down was because it says grams of CO2. So from here all I do is I just match up my units, just like my last problem. This says moles of CH4. So when I'm looking here, the only thing that says moles of CH4 is this guy right here. So I would put that on the bottom to make sure my units matched up, and put the other half, which is CO2, on top. Okay, and I set it up. Now I got to keep going, because remember, I want grams of CO2. Those units cancel, and again I have to match up my units. I have, whoop, I'm erasing that, didn't mean to do that. I have moles of CO2, so I need to find what says moles of CO2. Well, right here, and I set that up on the bottom, and I put my grams on the top, which should make sense because I'm trying to figure out how many grams of CO2, so the unit that I have to finish with has to be grams of CO2. Okay, so I go ahead and I take this and I go ahead and multiply it out, and I'm going to get a total of right around 220.05, and that would be grams of CO2 would be my answer. And all I did to get that is just multiply the top, which is 5 times 1 times 44.01, and divided by the bottom, which is just ones.